Yeah, and I mean, I think people. I actually just had a discussion with somebody earlier about what is spec mining these days.
Yeah,
Like because everybody was like, for the longest time, if you wanted into a project, why not just mine Ethereum, sell it, liquidate it, and then go buy the project that you were trying to accumulate, instead of mining at a loss or not as profitable as what Ethereum would be. And to me, spec mining is finding those projects that don't have the exchange listings that are
exactly.
are really new to the scene, and you're trading your electrical cost for those tokens or whatever project you happen to find. And and like you said, it's an against the grain kind of thing right now with the Ethereum merge. Everybody's looking, in my opinion, to the same old projects. You're looking at Raven
community organized, but we wanted to find kind of a common middle ground where we could come together and not like split up into our own calls. We wanted to come together, bring everyone in the community together into one place, and really merge together. And so we borrowed the Ethereum Foundation channel. There are lots of folks here from the Ethereum Foundation joining us, but I want to point out this is first and foremost a community call, a celebration, and to that extent, what you hear tonight should not necessarily be regarded as official. This is primarily a celebration of the merge, not necessarily a technical overview of the merge. The most important thing to remember, we don't know what's going to happen in an hour after we see pandas and after we wait for finalization. If you're a journalist, if you're someone who's going to be reporting on Twitter about what's happening tonight, I urge you to not regard this as canon, because what's very likely to happen are sources that we're looking at, websites that we're looking at, information that we're looking at could very easily go down or be wrong. And the best practice is to wait until you hear official notice, even official notice from well-regarded tweeters like Vitalik Buterin or Danny Ryan or Tim Bacon. Those sources of information are great final sources of information, and this call really should be regarded as a celebration and information, not a source of canon about how the merge went. And I'm just saying that in advance because I don't know any more than you do what's going to happen in an hour. And the last thing I want is to have a misunderstanding based on our celebration. So, I'm joined by Superfizz from East Acre. I'm joined by David Hoffman from Bankless. David, how are you?
Absolutely fantastic, Vince. How are you doing?
I'm good. Anthony Cesano from The Daily Way.
Hey, happy to be here. I'm very excited. I am the happiest I've been in a very long time, so I hope everyone else shares my excitement today.
And Pooja Ranjan from Ethereum Cat Herders.
Hey everyone, I'm very excited and very happy to be here and co-hosting this countdown with the absolutely wonderful host and amazing people from the community.
Yeah, this is going to be great. David, what are you looking forward to tonight?
The pandas, of course. This has been a long time coming. It was a long and winding road. The fact that we are actually here today is a little bit surreal, I think, for everyone here on this call. It's both long awaited and actually kind of unreal that it's actually happening. But of course, I think we're all here to see some pandas show up on the screen. A little bit of chaos after that, and then some clarity after that. So that's what I'm looking forward to.
Yeah, and Andy, you kind of lucked out with the timing on this. How are you feeling about that?
It's amazing. It means I have all the energy in the world to celebrate the merge when it happens. It's 3:52 p.m. right now. It's perfect, just perfect. This is like peak time for me to be excited about the merge. So, I mean, you can probably tell in my voice, I am just raring to go.
Yeah, the Americans tend to get favor over Australians very often. So I guess I'm supposed to say I'm happy for you. I don't know what to say.
You don't have to be happy for me if you don't want to be. I understand what it's like to have things happen in a really bad time zone or weird time zone. So yeah.
Right, 1:52 a.m.
Oh wow, you've got me booked. So Pooja, are you excited? How long have you been up? What's your status right now?
Right, I mean, I made sure that all my kids and my family are asleep, and then I try to wake up for this call. It is really exciting. We have been waiting for this day for a very long time, and when the time comes, it's all by, I don't know, it's a curse or what it is. Like most of the calls of Ethereum are generally at the very best time, but when the most important call is there, it is in the middle of the night. But yeah, I'm hanging around.
Yeah, I loved, a week ago, it looked like this was going to be 7 p.m. for me, and I was kind of on cloud 9. Well, things didn't turn out that way, but I'm really excited that everyone showed up tonight, and I'm glad that everyone watching on YouTube, on ETH Global, or wherever you're consuming this, really glad to see everyone this time. Before we go too much further, we have a 2-minute video we'd like to share with everyone. And so the idea is we'll share this video, and then after that we'll talk about the agenda for the show. But so it's a 2-minute video that kind of gives a futuristic, a wildly futuristic, an exceptionally wild futuristic concept of what the future of Ethereum holds. It's kind of fun, kind of futuristic, but Anvetica, if you can go ahead and fire that off, we will hang out and watch.
Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and transition to that video just real quick. Those of you on the Zoom, I can't guarantee that you'll see it or hear it. So if you can consume it, just watch the live stream.
The era of mining Ethereum by brute force, trial and error is coming to a close. The difficult proof-of-work mining process is well known to be unsustainable. Proof-of-stake mechanisms have taken years of research and development. Mining could cause centralization, security risks, and further environmental harm. Onboarding ETH. Preparing blocks for transfer. Destination targeted. The beacon chain. Launch sequence initiated. Proof-of-stake mechanisms promise a brighter future, a greener, sustainable paradise, which provides the essential foundation for scalability, meeting humanity's needs in a network built on stability.
I saw that video and I felt like that had to go out. Like, it was just an incredible futuristic perspective. I don't know, I'm kind of blown away by it. Next, I'd like to introduce an ETH-staker, Nixorikish. She began by providing community support in the ETH-staker Reddit, and she's a perfect example of someone who just wanted to commit to the community. And because of that, we onboarded her to ETH-staker full-time. She's just an exceptional example of someone who made their way in by committing time to the success of Ethereum. And so I'm really glad to introduce Nixorikish to share the agenda for tonight.
Hi, everyone. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to have a few accessible talks. And the point of these talks are to be geared towards people who don't necessarily spend all of their time in the Ethereum ecosystem. So you're going to hear from Tim Bako, Vitalik, Pooja of Ethereum Cat Herders, Fizz, and in the middle of that, you will hear a song from Jonathan Mann. And then we will go to Danny Ryan, who will show us what we're looking for to see that the merge is successful, and he'll walk you through. Remy will Remy Roy of ETHStaker will walk us through sort of a technical overview of what's happening. And after that, we'll watch pandas. We'll watch pandas when Remy is talking. And then we'll wrap up the painting party. We'll see the canvas close. We will give you POAP details, so don't ask when POAP until the end. And then there will be a community Q&A, and you can find that Slido link in some of the more technical Discord. So if you're looking to answer a question or ask a question, go find that Slido link, and then we will close the call.
Awesome. Thanks for the agenda overview. So we recognize that many people who are watching know more about Ethereum than people in this room, and that's so exciting. But we also want to welcome people who have no idea what's going on. They've never heard of Ethereum. They found this video, and we want to spend this call kind of educating you about what Ethereum is and where it's headed. And so we've kind of tapped David Hoffman from Bankless. David, can you tell us what is the merge and how does it fit into the greater context?
Yeah, what is the merge? What are we all doing here watching this stream? The merge is a long time coming of the arrival of proof of stake to Ethereum. That's really what it is. It's Ethereum transitioning into proof of stake. And this has been a goal of Ethereum for years now, since Genesis. It has always been the goal for Ethereum to migrate eventually from proof of work to proof of stake. And the merge has been the mechanism of which we actually get that done. Why is it called the merge? That's because there's currently two blockchains running in parallel right now. The main proof of work Ethereum chain, the chain that we know is called Ethereum, the one that we know. And there's also this other chain called the beacon chain. Now, the beacon chain really just does one thing. It does one thing and one thing alone, which is be proof of stake. That's all it does. There's no transactions, there's no tokens. It just validates itself in a proof of stake fashion. And it's using Ether that's been deposited on the main Ethereum chain. And then this new beacon chain listens to that main Ethereum chain of Ether deposits. And that is how Ether becomes heard and acknowledged and then answered and exists on the beacon chain. The beacon chain launched in December of 2020, and it's been a blockchain that's just been validating as a proof of stake blockchain ever since then. And now that it is stable and now that the developers feel secure, we are merging with that beacon chain. And so as we approach what we are all talking about as seeing the pandas, what that's really meaning is that the current Ethereum chain is intersecting with the beacon chain. And the proof of stake component of the beacon chain is like bumping out the proof of work miners for the main Ethereum consensus. And so this merge, what we are all here for today on the stream, is to watch the event where the beacon chain, the proof of stake consensus of the beacon chain becomes the actual consensus of the main Ethereum chain. And all of the various clients, there are many clients of Ethereum, there's different, instead of one canonical Ethereum, there's 5, 6, many different clients of Ethereum. And each one of these are syncing with each other and the beacon chain to all listen to the beacon chain all at the same time, all at the same, TTD number, total terminal difficulty, a very large number. And once we hit that number, all of a sudden the main Ethereum chain will start to listen to the beacon chain instead of the miners. And in that moment, we will have merged with the beacon chain and become proof of stake. So Fizz, that is what the merge is. And that is why we are all here today on this live stream.
Thanks, David. I'm so excited. Can't wait. Anthony, I think you're up. Are we ready for our next segment?
I'm ready to go if the speaker that I'm introducing is ready.
They are.
Cool, awesome. All right, so that was actually a really great overview, David. I want to commend you on that. That was great. So thanks for that. But yeah, so we are moving to proof of stake, as David just explained. But why are we doing this, right? It has been a long time coming. We have been talking about it for many, many different years. There are a bunch of different reasons why people are excited about it. But I think that a lot of people in the audience and just generally would love to know why we're doing this, you know, how we kind of like view this as a community, and who better to explain why Ethereum is switching to proof of stake than Vitalik himself. So Vitalik, feel free to take the stage.
Mic problems, I bet. Been there before, haven't we? You are muted, Metallic.
It's not a launch merge launch call with like this.
Yeah, this is just proving it's the real Metallic.
This is proof of Ethereum.
Wait for the Rickroll, then we'll know.
Yeah, I believe there is technical difficulties. I'm working on it with him.
Okay, so we'll go to the next question.
Yeah, so Pooja, you're up.
Right. So the next segment that we are going to cover today is what is the merge and what effect it will have on end users. To provide an overview, let me invite our next guest, who doesn't need an introduction, definitely not for those people who have been following Ethereum since EIP 1559. Please welcome the vibrant facilitator of Ethereum All Core Dev Calls, Tim Bako.
Hi everyone, can you hear me? Okay, sweet. Well, yeah, thanks everyone for tuning in and watching. So yeah, I'll talk quickly about what the merge does for end users and generally for Ethereum. And maybe a good way to start this is to focus on the average user of Ethereum who just wants to transact on chain. And we actually worked quite hard so that for all those users, the merge does basically nothing in terms of their experience. So if they send a transaction, like if you're sending a transaction in an hour, whether it lands on the last proof of work block or the first proof of stake block, it doesn't affect your transaction. You don't need to do anything. It'll just keep working. And that was like a really important design goal so that all the users of Ethereum, all the infrastructure, all the smart contracts just keep working as expected. So I see in the chat that I've stolen someone's mic. Hopefully it's good. Thanks, Light Client. Yeah, shout out to Light Client. Yeah, so for users of Ethereum, really, the goal was like an extremely smooth transition. But then, why do the merge at all? What do we get at the network level? And Danny is here, likes to say there's like three things: sustainability, scalability, and security. And sustainability is the one that gets talked about the most these days. And it's quite obvious, proof of work uses physical resources to secure the network. These have a very high energy cost. This is what kind of goes in as security for Ethereum. Moving to proof of stake allows us to kind of get rid of that entire energy expenditure that we use to secure the chain. And there's different estimates for this. Some people say like 99.9%, 99.95. But I think that the way to look at it is it's almost a bit more like qualitative. Like on proof of work, we have to keep growing the amount of hardware of electricity that we use to secure Ethereum if we want the chain to kind of grow and scale in size. On proof of stake, we don't need to do that. Like there's not only do we like stop the use we have today, but there's no more growth rate, and we benefit from any optimization in computing. So that's the first big one. The second one around security, we could go on for a long time for this, but I think an easy way to think about it for people who might not be super familiar with like all the details is proof of work basically gives you like a carrot to motivate people, right? Like you give them coins if they do the right thing on the network, and if they don't do the right thing, they don't get coins, and you hope that this is a strong enough motivation for people to do the right thing. On proof of stake, we can keep doing that. We can also introduce some conditions where if validators do something wrong, we can add some small penalties or some larger ones in case of graver things. So from a security perspective, it kind of helps us bound the actions of the actors who like create the consensus on the network, and that just helps us like fine tune kind of the security of the network some more. And then the last bit around kind of scalability, the merge itself doesn't scale Ethereum. This is like a big misconception, but it does kind of lay the infrastructure that we can use to then scale Ethereum in the future. So like the way we think about scaling Ethereum is using all these layer 2 solutions that exist today. They need to publish a lot of data to the network, and that's relatively expensive to do today. So we hope in the future to add kind of different layers to Ethereum, kind of the data layer where people can post data there for layer 2s, and having these validators already kind of validating information about blocks allows us to eventually kind of add to their duties validating this data. So yeah, that's pretty much it. At a high level for users, smart contracts, everything should be smooth. For the network itself, we get much better sustainability, better security, and it kind of lays the groundwork for all of the scalability work. Thanks.
Thank you, Tim. That was quite nice overview. So I guess the microphone issue has been resolved.
Yeah, Vitalik, are you good to go?
Yeah, I finally have unmute permissions, and I use them, so amazing.
Awesome.
Yeah, great. So, why proof of stake, right? I think so. Proof of stake has obviously been a dream for the Ethereum ecosystem since pretty much the beginning, right? So, we started the proof of stake research with that blog post on Slasher back in January 2014, and then kept going through proof of stake algorithms of different kinds. Eventually figured out the nuances around weak subjectivity, and then started researching this like BFT style of consensus, and over the next couple of years eventually came to having things like Casper FFG and all of the various ideas around CBC, and the current plan started to solidify sometime around 2018, and finally here we are. So the motivations that we had for proof of stake, I think there's a few of them. I mean, one is, and the big one obviously is just proof of work is very expensive, right? Like proof of work basically involves the people maintaining the consensus of the network, proving that they have more resources than an attacker can have by basically those resources being these big specialized computing boxes that they then keep running 24/7 and doing verifiable calculations with them 24/7 just to keep proving to the network that those computers exist. And you can see how that architecture is sort of credibly neutral and permissionless and all of those things, but at the same time it's basically the most expensive possible way to do the thing that it's trying to do. And proof of stake, sometimes I use the metaphor of virtual mining, where basically it's instead of having a miner in the real world consuming real electricity, it's almost like when you deposit, the Ethereum network simulates a virtual miner, and it's the same sort of process. You put in capital, and then that capital turns into some share of the network, and you get a right to participate in the network as a validator and get to produce some percentage of the blocks. But it all happens in a simulated way without requiring any actual resource expenditure. So it's both better for the environment as well as I guess other non-environmental externalities, like how proof of work just massively increased prices for GPUs and made a bunch of gamers angry, and proof of stake will do pretty much the exact opposite, and will probably even have a flood of cheap GPUs for some time. But also it is cheaper for the Ethereum ecosystem itself, and that comes through in the form of not having to have 5 million coins every year of issuance, right? So proof of work, it requires about 5 million coins every year of issuance. With proof of stake, the issuance is somewhere between I guess technically 0 and 2 million coins, but in practice it's I think at about 700,000 coins every year today. And so it's much less than 5 million. And even that is issuance that is accessible to you as an Ether holder if you decide to stake your ETH, right? So it all kind of stays within the ecosystem. So those are the efficiency benefits, right? So, good for the environment, it keeps resources inside of the ecosystem. It's also has a bunch of different side benefits, right? So censorship resistance is an important one, right? Proof of work mining is something that takes up a huge amount of electricity. It's relatively easy to detect if people are determined on detecting it. But proof of stake, you just need to be on a laptop somewhere, and it's as easy to hide as anything. It is more secure in a bunch of ways, right? So there's this concept of economic finality, where reverting even a single block takes a bunch of it requires a third of validators to get slashed once that block gets finalized. and even attacks that are not kind of 100% provable. So things like censorship attacks, there are a lot of those can be corresponded to by the community with a community organized soft fork, where one of the things that you can do with proof of stake is like you can basically have this a soft fork where only the people who participated in the attack would get kicked out of the validator set and lose part of their deposits, but everyone who did not participate in the attack would not. Whereas in proof of work, you can sort of, your only option is to change the proof of work algorithm, which just like punishes everyone, and it requires a hard fork, and it's much more intrusive and abusable in a bunch of ways. So, and then finally, proof of stake also lays the groundwork for scalability because it gives us these validators with validator slots and makes it easy for us to add other tasks to them, which would include validating sharded data eventually. So I think like to summarize, one of the ways that I think about this in a more philosophical way is like proof of work is based on the laws of physics, and so you sort of have to work with the world as it is, right? You have to work with electricity as it is, hardware as it is, what computers are as it is. Whereas because proof of stake is virtualized in this way, it's basically letting us create a simulated universe that has its own laws of physics, and that just gives us as protocol developers a lot more freedom to optimize the system around actually having all of the different security properties that we want, right? And if we want the system to have a particular security guarantee, and then like often there is a way to modify the proof of stake mechanism to also achieve it. So it's just much more flexible, and it shows through in the efficiency and the security of the network.
Awesome. Thank you very much for that overview. As everyone can see, there are plenty of reasons to be excited about proof of stake. And how excited are you, Vitalik? I mean, you've got to be ecstatic at this point in time, right?
Yeah, no, I am absolutely excited to be exited from the proof of work era.
Yep. Awesome. Well, thank you for that. All right, passing it on to David now to introduce our next topic.
Yeah, coming up next, Jonathan Mann has sang a song every single day for over 5,000 days now. He's just recently passed 5,000. And of course, today is yet another day. So there's yet another song. John, can you explain the song that's coming up next for us?
Yeah, thanks, David. Thanks so much. I'm super honored to be here. Thank you all so much for having me. So as David mentioned, I write a song a day. And in that capacity, because I'm a total nerd, starting like last May, in May of 2021, I just started like writing songs documenting the transition that we are now, that is now upon us. So the first one I did was about EIP 1559, and I've written songs about every single stage. And the song that we're about to hear now is the final song in this series because we're here now. And I got on a call with Tim Bako, and he sort of took me through that. He told me this, so there's the sort of story, the ebbs and flows of how we got here today. And that's what I tried to put into this song. I wanted to make like a little narrative about how it felt to be a dev working on this thing, and the highs and the lows, and tuning out the noise and all that kind of stuff. So I'm super excited to share it with you. It's called Pandas Are Not Known for Running. And again, for the folks on Zoom, if you want to watch, you got to watch on the YouTube. Let's roll it. I'm super excited. Let's hear it. Here with you is called Pandas Are Not Known for Running. And again, for the folks on Zoom, if you want to watch, you got to watch on the YouTube. Let's roll it. I'm super excited. Let's hear it.
Big dreams we're building.
Here with you is called Pandas Are Not Known for Running. And again, for the folks on Zoom, if you want to watch, you can watch on YouTube.
Too many mistakes. Slowly we moved on. Down by the lake with our beacons and chains in old Canada, where all of this was born, oh Canada. Rustic cottages were our home and all. We took all the trade and we turned it. We took all the fees and we burned it. Hey, Booterin, I think we earned it. Oh. leg to stand on. We did our very best, and for a down in Greece, buried under stress, out on the beach and debating the pieces, and oh, we carried on. Though the road was long, we carried on. You know, those voices never stopped, and oh, they said it would never be coming, but they didn't see the debugging, and pandas are not known for running.
All right, great. I was just checking to see if Justin Drake is here. Justin, are you with us?
Isn't he in Boulder? No? Oh, someone mentioned that. Was a joke.
Okay. No sweat. We can pass over that for now and get back to Justin. And so, Anthony, I'm going to pass it to you, my friend.
Yep. So next thing that we want to discuss is client diversity. Now, this is something that many people may have heard of already. It basically describes the aspect that we have within Ethereum, where we have multiple clients that can be run on the network. There is a bunch of them on both the execution layer and consensus layer side. It is very important to network health, decentralization, and security. So we're going to have Pooja run us through, why client diversity can be a problem in, when it's in its bad state, and how do we overcome that, and what a good state looks like. To you, Pooja.
Thank you, Anthony. Yes, client diversity is another important topic of consideration, along with the upgrade of the existing client nodes. I know we cannot just solve the issue in the next 5 minutes, but I would like to take a few minutes and maybe share my thoughts on the topic. I would quickly like to share a presentation and walk us through how do we can overcome the problem of client diversity. As on the screen, you are seeing currently two charts, one for the execution clients and one for the consensus client. The red, yellow, green charts are generally self-explanatory, but here we see that red is mostly on the execution side. Let's see why is it. For proof of work, we were considering that the client adoption should not be over 50% to avoid the 51% attack and everything else. So Git is certainly not in a very good position. And there's another major reason for that is if there's anything goes wrong with Git, a bigger section of the client may go down. But on the other side, if you can look into the consensus client chart, you see the prism, it's not over 50%, but still it is in yellow, not in green. That's because when we come up with the beacon chain or the consensus layer, the consensus is made over 2/3 of participation and 2/3 of voting. Here it is over 33%, and that's the reason why we have marked it as yellow, not in the green. Now that we are switching to proof of stake today, the requirement has changed, and we will be seeing why do we need client diversity? That is one of the biggest questions that may come to everyone's mind when we are looking into these charts. Probably we partially answered the most common question because we know there are major points of having a diversified distribution of clients for obvious reason. Network security is one of the biggest reason, and there are other advantages of having this diversity when we are testing any upgrade or testing any protocol to be launched on the mainnet. It helps in identifying consensus bug. With the proof of a stake, there are other incentives associated with the staking and also helps with finality. Definitely having multiple client options for node running is a strength of community. While EL clients diversity looks worse on chart we just saw, and most of us may know that this has not been the case forever, but at times when parity and open Ethereum stopped there, like they were not continued anymore, there were only few client options available for mining. I consider that as one of the major reasons for having more clients on this side. However, there were more clients coming up, and the less availability of proper documentation of clients can be one of the reasons, which may not be true as of now. And we are hoping that things are not going to be the same. We will see a lot of changes coming up. So be ready for the changes with the merge upgrade. Did you know we have multiple options for you to run a client node? For execution layer, we are having 8 client nodes, which will be available post-merge for you to pick up to run an Ethereum node. And also on the consensus side, the number is no less. It is 6 clients available for you to pick up a node running option, or maybe become validated for Ethereum blockchain. If you were not aware of any of the clients shared in the earlier slides, or you want to know more about that, or maybe about your favorite clients feature, what's coming up, check out the Know Your Client series that's on Ethereum Cat Herders YouTube. You probably have this question in the mind by now, like how as an individual or an institution you can make a difference. Well, if you are a solo staker or solo node runner, you would want to pick up a client that suits your hardware requirement, having an ELCL combination that you think will be easier for node running with minimal setup. However, we do have support from the client team available. And if you are a staking pool or representing a staking pool, you must consider running more than one client. If running only one client node, then it is highly recommended to have it not the major client, like the client which is having the largest network share. I have added a couple of charts here for people's reference. Like we can see when it comes to staking and when it comes to rewarding and punishment as well. Splashing can be painful and rewarding at the same time, depending upon which side of the node running you are. When you are running a majority client, and if slashing happens, the pain meter shows it's very high, pain meter is very high. But if you are running a minority client, definitely you are getting more reward. Similarly, the chart on the right side, it shows for some of the bigger pools and what combinations client distribution they are having. Well, this is amazing that we are moving towards merge, and client diversity is definitely crucial. Join us in building a resilient Ethereum network. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, Pooja. That was great. I hope everyone got a lot out of that. Client diversity is definitely critical and important to Ethereum. Fizz, do we have Justin Drake?
We do.
Awesome.
Welcome, Justin.
Hi, everyone. Yes, I'm here.
So glad to have you. Oh, I was going to introduce you.
Go ahead.
Justin Drake is he has become one of my favorite Ethereum researchers. If you've ever listened to him, he's on Bankless frequently, and he speaks so much truth. And so tonight we're going to have Justin talk to us about the energy efficiency or energy use reduction in the new Ethereum proof of stake network. So take it away, Justin.
Yeah, for sure. So, at a high level, we're going to be reducing the energy consumption of the whole world by roughly 0.2%. So Ethereum right now is consuming 0.2% of all the electricity that is produced. Bitcoin is on the order of 0.5%. And I can't think of a single technological innovation that reduces worldwide electricity consumption as much as the move to proof of stake does. And one of the really cool things about this electricity reduction is that the mainstream understands it's something that's so obviously good. There's so many advantages to the merge, but things like the security improvements, things like the monetary improvements are much harder to understand. So I think as a community, we shouldn't be shy, and we should be proud of this achievement that we've unlocked. And as Tim Bako said, it's not just about the 0.2% of all the electricity of the world that we're consuming. It's also the fact that we can't scale as a network. We want to become the settlement layer for the internet of value. We need to grow to trillions of dollars to have very high economic security and economic bandwidth. And we can't go consuming 2%, 20%, 50% of all the world's electricity produced. Now, the other thing that I want to highlight in this discussion of electricity consumption is that it's only one side of the coin. The other side of the coin is the hardware, and this is always very much overlooked, especially from Bitcoiners who try and talk about the energy consumption being largely stranded energy, green energy, which may or may not be true, but we know for sure that the ASICs, the hardware, is not green. It's usually hardware that depreciates fairly fast, that is single use in the case of Bitcoin, and that just ends up in a dump. And building ASICs is very resource intensive, especially the leading node ASICs like 3 nanometer or 5 nanometer that are used to build these pieces of hardware. It consumes lots of water, etc. Now, in the case of Ethereum, there's millions of GPUs specifically that are used to mine, somewhere between 2 and 20 million. Basically, it depends on what type of GPUs is being used to mine. But what we should expect to happen is these millions of GPUs to enter the market, and that to lead to a relief in the price of GPUs for gamers. So I guess it's good news all around, maybe except for the miners.
Wow, that is so great. Yeah, there are so many benefits that come from this shift to proof of stake to so many stakeholders. And I would like to say, no one's losing out, but people who were GPU mining, this is hard for them, and I hope they choose to join us with proof of stake. But it's so beneficial to everyone else. Thanks, Justin, for sharing.
Awesome. Well, the next topic, I think, is probably the most important one. The reason we're all in Ethereum, decentralization. It is critical to Ethereum. It is what we're all about. And who better to talk about it than someone that I really respect in the ecosystem, and that is all about decentralization, Super Fizz himself. So go ahead, Fizz, take the floor.
Yeah, so I'm really excited to talk about centralization, and I'm going to talk really fast because I think we have about 10 minutes before the merge itself, and hopefully everybody's getting really excited. We're looking forward to hearing from Danny as we go into the merge, but I want to talk about something that is so incredibly important to our entire network, and that is that we become and maintain our decentralization as a network. People have this idea that we need to stake more coins on the Ethereum proof of stake network. We don't actually need to stake more coins. That is not something that will inherently contribute to our success. But what will contribute to our success are people who stake in decentralized ways, and that is solo staking from home. That is identifying trustless, open source, decentralized staking pools and staking with those. There's this concept of minimal decentralization being enough for Ethereum to succeed, but it's not. We have to have credible decentralization. That means that we are so decentralized that nation states, that corporations trust our network enough to act on them. And if we rely on a few service providers to stake our coins for us, then we don't have a decentralized network. We have a tool that maybe people are trying to extract value from, but we don't have a valuable decentralized network, and that's what we need to build for. If you want to stake with Ethereum, I encourage you not to look for the cheapest way to stake. And the reason is, the cheapest way that you stake may erode the value of the Ethereum network so that your coins are worth less in 10 years. But if you're staking in ways that bring value to the network, like staking from home, you're actually bringing more value to your own coins. And so I really believe that's a better investment for the long term. I would love for everyone to check out ethsunshine.com. It is a reflection of our current decentralization. And you're going to find there that it's not sunny, it's not perfect. We do have weaknesses. But as a community, Ethereum identifies, embraces, and improves our weaknesses. And that's why I'm here, because we know that we can improve and we can do better. And I really hope you'll join me in that pursuit. So yeah, that is decentralization. It's something that I'm never going to stop talking about, and I hope you'll join me in that struggle.
Yeah, it can be a struggle sometimes, right? To kind of, I guess, like explain the benefits of decentralization, why it's so important. But thank you, Fizz, for that. I know we don't have much time here, but we're going to pass it to David now to introduce the next topic.
Yeah, the next topic, it's actually getting down to the next topic is being the merge itself. We are about 8 minutes away. There are 33 blocks and counting. And so we're going to have to actually pass it to some of the experts in the room here because we're getting down to it. It's almost merge time. And for a lot of the people that don't know what's going on under the scene, once we merge, it's going to be kind of confusing as to what we need to look at, how are we going to vet this, what are we going to look at on the other side. So I'm going to pass it off to Danny Ryan to tell us what he is looking at and what other core devs are looking at to be informed as to what's the state of the merge is after we actually hit that block number, that TTD number. Danny, are you with us?
Yo.
What's up, Danny?
Do we have a screen share of some logs and stuff and some dashboards?
Yeah, is somebody able to share a screen?
We thought you were going to express those to us verbally.
I am. I can do it all verbally.
I know, right?
Okay. So, I think we kind of got the gist. The proof of work chain exists. The beacon chain is watching and waiting for this terminal number, at which point the first block on the proof of work chain that it meets or exceeds this number, the validators say, okay, I'm ready, and they take over. And so at this point, they're all watching, they're all waiting. That is the point at which the first proof of stake merged block will be built. So that's kind of, I'm going to go through kind of the sequence of stuff that we hope to see, the sequence of stuff that might be some red flags, we might start digging and that kind of stuff. So we want to see that first block, that the terminal total difficulty hit, that first proof of stake block. Then that proof of stake mechanism not only builds blocks, but validators send attestations. So these little messages that they say, this is what I see, this is what I see, this is the head of the chain, this is my view of reality. And so right after we get that first block, we also start getting attestations. And so in each block, attestations from prior blocks and prior slots are included. So we hope to see over the course of the first epoch, which is 32 slots, which is about 6 minutes, we hope to see mini blocks. Optimally, we'll see 32. If we see 30 or more, then we're golden. If we see a bit of a precipitous drop, something like 25 in that range, we're going to say, okay, something's looking a little bit weird. We're going to be digging in. But that's going to be one of our first indicators, is that first epoch, do we have mini blocks and do we have a similar percentage of attestation? So, if we're 90+% on the blocks and the attestations in that range, we're going to be very happy. There's also this thing, each block, this sync committee. This is also an indicator. That similarly we want to see in that 90+% range. So after the merge block can happen anywhere inside of an epoch. So we want to see the finishing of that epoch and then the finishing of the next epoch. If we have over 2/3 of participation, we're going to call that justified, right? And so if we look at one of these panels, it says epoch, and we see how finalized happens and justified happens. That we see pretty much, you see an epoch is justified, then you see an epoch is finalized. So after that, like 6 to 9 minutes, we're going to see, if we have 2/3 participation, we're going to see it justified. And then after the next epoch, we're going to see it finalized. So this process is going to take anywhere from 12 to 18 minutes, depending on where that terminal block lands. So let's see some of the other stuff in these panels that we might be looking for. So on some of the dashboards, we're going to see participation. We're going to see kind of these slots continue to increase. We really want to see these epochs increase. That consensus mechanism is going to switch from proof of work to proof of stake, ideally. And then we also watch logs. So nodes, the implementation of the software, they spit out what they're seeing. You know, they pretty much say like, hey, I got a new block. Hey, I this, that. You know, and it's not, it looks complicated, it looks a bit scary at first, but you know, a lot of this is just human language. It says ready for the merge, and then it says terminal flow difficulty, that kind of stuff. So we're watching logs, and one of the exciting things is when we see that first block, pretty much, I think all the clients have a nice ASCII panda artwork displayed. So that'll be kind of our first exciting indication. We also watch block explorers. This is kind of a visual representation of the state of the logs of what's going on here. So this, you know, this beacon chain block explorer, this is an open source explorer. This is really cool. We get to see live as blocks come in through this sequence. We also get a little bit of indication when we're watching the epochs justify. So you get this nice visual representation as well. So that's pretty much what I'm going to be watching for. You know, really, we want to see some of these really positive indicators, and then we want to see that finality. Once we participation, we're going to see it justified. See that kind of stuff. So we're watching logs, and one of the exciting things is when we see that first block, pretty much, I think all the clients have a nice ASCII panda artwork displayed. So that'll be kind of our first exciting indication. We also watch block explorers. This is kind of a visual representation of the state of the logs of what's going on here. So this, you know, this beacon chain block explorer, this is an open source explorer. This is really cool. We get to see live as blocks come in through this sequence. We also get a little bit of indication when we're watching the epochs justify. So you get this nice visual representation as well. So that's pretty much what I'm going to be watching for. You know, really, we want to see some of these really positive indicators, and then we want to see that finality. Once we see finalization, we can take a deep breath, breathe easy. Then we'll be monitoring, you know, obviously for the next couple hours, for the next couple weeks, and honestly, we're monitoring all the time. So I think we're about 2 minutes till, so I will turn it back over to y'all.
Wow. City. That's all I got to say right now. I'm going to go on mute. Love y'all.
Glad to have you, Jeremiah. You're a good man.
Hey, Danny, when merge?
It's never gonna happen.
It's now. It's literally right now.
7 quadrillion difficulty away.
The amount of times I've been asked this question, but it is finally now.
The new question is going to be, did it ever happen? Hey, I got pandas. BOS activated.
Pandas.
Come on. Got them too. Come on now. Let's go.
Thank you.
Pandas.
Honored.
Let's go.
Panda.
Panda.
Hey.
Okay.
Right. Hey. And built on it.
Yay.
Building one chain.
So, everyone, we knew this would happen. We knew that we would get this far. There's nothing contentious yet. The next 13 minutes are the nail-biting times. So, now it gets fun.
Come on now. All right. I'm eating black licorice for ETH Finance, and I'm going to drink some Lafroig scotch and a little bit of beet juice.
The merge is here. I've been waiting to say that for so long after saying the merge is coming for years. It's here. Oh my God.
Come on.
I don't know.
And importantly,
Remember,
we're still building a single chain.
we
So we've got
promised
about
not to
merge,
celebrate
merge,
it.
We are
until
not
finalize.
going to merge. We have merged.
Now let's finalize.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
now
I'm
let's finalize.
watching logs, and I've seen a block in every slot since the pandas, which is a very good sign. So we're like 6 slots in, and I think we're at 100% block rate. So that's implying that we have a very high percentage of validators online, connected, and running software that works.
we can also see transactions being included into the beacon chain right now.
Kind of want to go make a transaction just to make my.
That's what I
my
was about
first
to say.
proof
I
of
want to
stake
be an
transaction.
early transactor on the mainnet. I'm gonna sit.
Gas is 100 Gwei right now.
Let me get an ENS here.
Wait, what's the gas? What's the gas
100.
price?
100.
So you're
100?
saying there is life on Mars? We got life on Mars. Life on Mars has been validated. Come on.
Benjamin,
Okay,
you're the first ENS I recognize, so because I'm so eager to be a part of this, I'm gonna send you a transaction.
100% of blocks so far.
Wow.
We have a block for every
The
slot.
other really good news. The other good news is we've included enough attestations to justify this epoch already. That's about on par with what we're doing pre-merge. So this is looking like participation is actually holding up to about where it was. It's the next epoch that really counts, but this one's good.
Someone click on a block and look at the sync committee participation.
And we're all excited. This isn't really a surprise. We had every expectation that this would unfold this way, but it's still very exciting to see it unfold in reality.
Let's go.
Let's go. That's what I'm saying right now. I was told we can't do sound effects, so I'm not. So I'm going to just say, let's go. Let's go. Everybody should unmute and at least start to clap, slow clap a little bit, you know. We don't have to go all in. We don't have to, we can just like enjoy the moment.
Hey, so for anybody who isn't aware of this yet, GPU miners on Ethereum are no longer active. If you're mining a GPU miner on the Ethereum proof of work network, nothing is happening. You cannot, you can mine blocks, but they will not be on the Ethereum network.
Attention GPU miners, you have a huge future in AI renderings.
Your watch has ended.
No, but thank you. I mean, I never want to. Let's appreciate all the GPU miners did for us. They
Yes,
really are our
absolutely,
family.
100%.
Yeah, absolutely.
A lot of us all did that thing. I mean, we all did it.
And I mean, I eagerly welcome GPU miners to come to Proof of Stake. The network has done a lot for you. You're a part of us. Join us in Proof of Stake.
So we've seen all blocks so far. Every slot has had a block. So we want to see 7-6 justified.
What?
Yeah, but it happened partway through the epoch.
No, I'm just impressed that we have 0 misses. Like, we all kind of expected to have a few missed slots. We just kind of assumed it, and to have 0 missed slots is impressive.
It's almost
that
like
testing was
Vitalik's
worth it.
microphone worked the whole time. We just didn't know it yet.
I mean, is my microphone working this time?
Yes.
Yay!
Yeah.
Come on, man. Preach.
Another interesting note is that the supply has peaked at the merge, and if you go to ultrasound.money, you'll see that since the merge, we've gone down by 31 ETH so far. The website
had
is
an inflationary block yet.
We may have had. I can have a look. No, it looks like every
not with
block.
100 Gwei.
Yeah.
100 Gwei gas price.
The website is a little unstable because we have 10,000 current visitors roughly.
And I'm one of them.
Holy shit. I'm one of them too.
So if you're missing on the fun,
There's
that's ultrasound.money.
41,000 people watching this. Hello, 41,000 people.
People late merging.
So the slot visual on Beacon Chain is lagging. I'm still watching logs, and I think we're at 100% block rate for all of these slots. So
Sir,
again, some of the visualizers sometimes get out of whack, but the nodes are true.
That's one of the things that I mentioned in the beginning. We don't want you to take away what you see here and say, I see 3 missed blocks. That's not the interpretation. As Danny says, they have better logs than this visualizer, which is being hugged by a lot of people. So, yeah.
How many minutes are left in this epoch?
halfway through this epoch.
Okay. How many minutes are in an epoch again? It was something easy.
There's 32 slots in an epoch, but we'll even know because of the high percentage. We'll probably know that justification is going to happen, 2/3 of the way in the epoch.
Gotcha.
I want to shout out to Bitfly.
Slot 22 or 23.
Yeah, I really appreciate Bitfly for developing Beacon Chain. It's an awesome product. Don't refresh that because I did hit Cloudflare when I refreshed, so it's getting bugged. But we're there. Like, this is happening.
Yeah, there were like 4,000 people on the front page, and
Congratulations, Danny.
Yeah, congratulations, Danny, Tim, this is so awesome. This is
Alec,
incredible.
yeah.
Like,
congratulations,
well over 100 people.
Everyone.
This.
Yeah. And,
Congratulations.
yes, everyone who has put so much time in it. All of the people in this call have poured their heart and soul in it, regardless of what your role is. It's not just developers, it's not just researchers, it's community, it's home users, it's people who have a commitment to make this network real. So thank you guys so much for sticking with it. Like, it's paying off right now.
I'm gonna just be a dead horse, as they say. I think we've 100% of the slots have blocked so far. That's like, this is going as well as it could so far. Tim wanted me to make sure I said so far.
well, so far, let me say thank you to all the client teams for all their excellent work. I mean, I'm just looking at my logs here, and everything is just amazing. It's perfect. So really well done to all the guys who put all the guys and girls who put all the software together for all this stuff. It's fantastic.
Is that some air?
It is some air. Hello, Danny.
Shout out to those guides. Holy shit! Like, those guides have carried the solo staking community. I use those guides religiously. Thank you.
Just interrupt. Slot 23. We have enough votes to justify this epoch.
Okay, so we've technically justified the merge transition block. So we're 6.4 minutes away, assuming continual optimal conditions, of finalizing this thing.
So I'd like to say thank you to everyone on Discord that helps each other out on Discord. It's a big help to us client developers. So if you're one of those people on Discord that helps each other out, then thank you. You made it happen.
Thanks. Danny, can you really just double down on what it means for this to get finalized? Why is that significant?
So in proof of stake, we have this notion of economic finality. In proof of work technically.